Welcome back to Running with Coach Tori.
And Jeff.
And we are bringing you the running news from the week, whether it's for long run entertainment or to give you something to chat about with your running group. We've got you covered. This is the second time we've started the episode now, and I liked my intonation better on how I said Running with Coach Tori, so it was meant to be.
Yes.
And we hadn't gotten very far because my internet was cutting out, and we were talking about the weather, which is the most boring topic in the world.
Yeah, that started with, I think, training, and I said I got derailed a little bit. Like I had done 14 days straight, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
And then, I just had, I've got some back issue right now.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, so I think it's on the road to recovery, so I'll get back to it. But I did lose a week where, again, it wasn't all back. It was a little bit of back issue. I had to go to Penn to get some other medical stuff checked out. No issues. So anyway, so I think I'm back on the road to recovery.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, I also was complaining about how the sinus infection I've had for the past month is making me really dumb. But also I'm not running a whole bunch. Unfortunately, I've been really trying that 5 a.m. wake up thing, but at the moment, my adorable son is waking up at 4:30 to ask me to fix his blankets. So then after that's all fixed, it's like now 4:45, and I'm like, oh, do I really want to be up that early to start my whole, like, I just am like, I know it's only 15 minutes before I would be getting up, but it just like feels like, I should just go lay down. But then I'm like, I'm not gonna lay down for 15 minutes. I'll lay down for an hour, and then, my whole morning's lost and I never worked out. So that is my current dilemma for like the past probably 2 weeks.
What time do you go to bed?
Like around 10. Sometimes I'll fall asleep on the couch before that, and like that's even worse because then I have to get woken back up and then go to bed, and like that's a whole process. If it were up to me, like I'm ready for bed at 8:30. I'm like I've now finished whatever chores I need to do. I decided I'm not working, because sometimes it's also like I'll work out at night and then I sit down on the couch and I'm like, why did I sit down? Because I'm definitely not getting up. So I'd be really happy to go to bed at 8:30, but that just
Yeah, you're definitely on a different cycle than me. But I mean, that's the right cycle to be on, is to go to bed well before midnight and get up early. I think you accomplish more in the morning than you do if you sleep in. So you've got it right. It's just a question of getting it balanced.
Yes, I know. Yeah, I like an early morning. I like going to bed early too. Like I'm never like, oh, I'm missing out on nothing. Like there is not a thing that happens after 7 p.m. that I need to know about. So yeah, it's just trying to also be like an adult, hanging out, doing, watching whatever dumb show and whatever, being social enough. But that is that. So yeah, no, working out's not going well, but I was just thinking I really do want to sign up for a fall race. So I have to start kind of figuring out how I'm going to make all that happen through the summer, but I got some.
Yeah, let me know, because I agree. I think I definitely need some event to look forward to keep my training on track. And I feel like I'm not training, I'm just really doing stuff. And again, it's probably better off to have a routine where you just consistently work out and exercise. That's probably the right answer for life.
Yeah.
But motivation wise, I do need something to be striving for. And a lot of people, I'm sure, do.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's easier to have like some kind of like a purpose, right? When you're like, I don't want to wake up at 4:45. It's like, well, I'm waking up at 4:45 so that I can not, blow out my knees on my half marathon. So, we'll figure it out someday. But yes, I'll let you know if I figure out a fall race that I'm
Shall we jump into the news?
Yeah, well, actually, I wasn't sure if you had this as part of your Grand Slam track review, but I figured we could talk about like how it works.
Yeah, that's perfect, because that was part of my list as well. Is giving some background on how does it work, because it's different.
Yeah, so I actually didn't know that until like this weekend when I saw some highlights and I was like, what are they talking about? Um,
Yeah, so go ahead. Why don't you give a summary of how they structure this Grand Slam track event?
okay, well, their website also is like a little tricky on like how to navigate things, but so there's four slams is what their website says. Kingston, Miami, Philadelphia, Los Angeles. The competitors, who are they? We have the 48 racers versus the 48 challengers. So, and correct me when I get things wrong because I'm like kind of
No,
fumbling
no,
through.
no. So far, you're spot on. I don't know why they've done the racers versus challengers. Other than the racers, I think they've committed to having those racers at all four events.
Correct.
Um, yeah. So the
Yeah. So
challengers can change.
right. So the 48 racers are like their roster, right? Of like everyone who's going to be there versus the 48 challengers. But the challengers are still like well known competitive athletes, right? They have to have, I forget all of like the credentials they have to have, but they have to be like pro athletes who've done really well. Like they're still, it's competition, right? Um, And then they have, okay, race groups led by the four racers. I don't need that part. So then they're broken into like what things that you can win. So there's the short sprints, short hurdles, short distance, long sprints, long hurdles, long distance, and that's it, right? So you have to do the two races in each category and you get points for how well you do in each race. And then whoever has the most points in each category basically wins, right? So for the short sprints, you would run the 100 and the 200. You would get points based on how you rank in each thing. And then whoever had the most points out of those two wins. So ideally, if someone got first place in the 100, first place in the 200, they had the most points, they win the short sprints division. Am I explaining that in a way that would make sense to someone who doesn't know what I'm talking about?
That's perfect. Yeah. So for example, right, Kenny Bednarik was one of the racers,
Yes.
and he is in. And again, the 100 meters and the 200 meters is a short sprint. That makes perfect sense. Many people do those two events in the Olympics, and that's a natural two events to do.
Right.
And Kenny Bednarik was the winner for both of those races. He is a racer, not a challenger, and so he won that category.
Okay. And so then I think the other big thing about this is like the prize money is more than say like a diamond league. Am I like speaking out of turn? Is that true? I
No,
believe
no,
that's true.
that's yeah. There's like 12+ million in prize money given out for the four events, which is
Okay.
massive. Which is how they've attracted, really high quality athletes. Kenny Bednarik is well known sprinter.
Yeah. So, oh, did I break down each of the categories? No.
No, you should just for everyone's benefit, you should give what are the two races in each of the six categories.
So the short sprints we just talked about is the 100, 200, which like you said makes so much sense. A lot of people who do the short sprints are running with those things. The short hurdles category is either the 100 hurdles for the women or the 110 for men and the 100-meter flat. The short distance is the 800 meter and the 1500 meter. I think that one also makes so much sense because a lot of those people run those same things. The long sprints, which is the 200, 400, I guess there's probably a lot of crossover in that as well. Long hurdles is the 400-meter hurdles and the 400 flat. And then for long distance, you have the 3K and the 5K.
Yep.
Um, the only thing that struck me a little bit was the hurdles because I feel like often, and maybe I'm just like, I don't follow. Again, we talk about all the time how I should be more supportive of professional track and field, but I'm not. Um, that I feel like the hurdles, if you're a hurdler, you're usually doing the hurdles. And I feel like Sydney McLaughlin is the outlier to some extent that she dominates the 400-meter hurdles. And now she's moved into the 400 meters flat and is still doing amazing. Um, so do we see that a lot from your experience of like the hurdlers are also doing really well in an open event?
Yeah, I think what you see is so I think you summarized it quite well that the short sprints, the 100 meter and the 200 meter, in the highest level of competition, you see high level athletes doing both. Like Noah Lyles wins or potentially could win both of those events in the Olympics. He didn't, but he could. But the rest of the other five combinations, really at the highest level, you don't tend to see someone doing both. They tend to be they could like you said, the 800 and the 1500 you can do them. But if you're a 1500-meter specialist, you probably aren't the best 800-meter world record holder, right? So
Right.
that's just you can do them, but it's a difference. So yeah, I think Sydney McLaughlin is a bit of an outlier that she is so good in both that she
Hmm.
could win both the open 400 and the 400-meter hurdles.
In fact, she
Um,
did she not?
yeah, she did. She
Yeah,
did. She is that good.
she is that good.
Yeah, so I think so. I did. Did you watch any of the videos? You must have seen some of them.
Yeah, and it's mostly just been like finishes that I've seen, so I didn't really see a whole lot of what was
Yeah, I've watched. I won't say I watched everyone, but I watched most of the individual races. Same thing with you. I went on YouTube, so I did watch, and I fast forwarded maybe to the 5,000 a little bit. I did see the beginning, the introductions, and then tried to watch the races. Most of them are short enough and entertaining enough. The 5,000 is the only one that's a little bit longer, but
right.
even that's not that long.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who else stood out to me. Again, I didn't watch a lot. But I
Well,
saw
I'll tell you who won. Some of the I won't go through all of them because there's, as we said, six categories. So if you win the category, you get the $100,000, and the prize money goes down beyond that. But we talked about Kenny Bednarik winning the men's short sprints. I think that's a name people would recognize. I think Sydney McLaughlin, we just talked about her. She won the long hurdles, which would be the 400 meters and the 400-meter hurdles. And she won both of those. Other names, Grant Fisher, we talked about him previously, right, as the long distance world record holder in 5K and 3K. He didn't win both events, but after he won the first event, which I think was the 5,000, he then in the 3,000, sort of paced himself to finish where he knew he had to finish to win the overall category, right? Because once you know, like, hey, I've got this locked up, and the person in front of me finished fourth in that event, I don't have to finish first to win the overall category. I can finish third and still be the best in the category.
yeah.
So you did see a little bit of strategy being played out um, for people who won the first event of the category. They tended to do a little bit more strategic in the second event.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that. And I guess I was just thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, he must have been thinking that while he was running. But I'm sure they walked through different scenarios before he got on the track
Yeah,
for the second
yeah.
one.
I think
Hey, if these two guys are in front of you, just you're fine. If this is the combo, you're not fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think that's right. I think he seemed like he knew exactly what he had to do to do it. And obviously he's the world record holder, so he could have gone all out and probably won it. That takes a lot out of your body. Plus, you're racing really hard. It's what's great about this is you're racing hard, like a day or two beforehand
Hmm.
in the other event. So if it's a second day event, then you're sort of saying, okay, am I going to manage my effort because I just put out a hard effort the day before? So it was interesting. I think the other one that I would mention is not a name I recognize. It's Emmanuel Wanyoni. He's an 800-meter specialist, and so in the short distance category, that's the 800-meter and the 1500-meter. The 1500-meter was first, and he won that event.
Oh,
Yeah, so there was a bunch of 1500-meter specialists in that, and so you're talking about um, Yard Nagus. We're talking about Cole Hocker, Josh Kerr, guys who were in the Olympics, in the Olympic finals in the 1500 meters, and this guy beat him. And then in his specialty, he didn't win it, but he was again managed his effort. I'm sure he could have won it if it was the first event, but he managed his effort and he also put out a massive effort the day before to win the 1500 meters. So he was also very impressive. I thought that was interesting.
yeah.
So I loved it. I'm looking forward to going to see the one in Philadelphia. I'll certainly watch the stuff on Miami, maybe even watch it a little bit more live than just on YouTube afterwards. But I will say the news about the first Grand Slam event in Jamaica wasn't well attended. Um, it started at 5:30 on a Friday, which for most people they're working. So I think the first event went off, and it was one of the short sprints for women, and there was almost no one in the stands.
Oh wow.
Now, yeah. So the stands, did get a little more crowded, but it's a track and field set of stands, so there's stands all the way around the track. So as they were most of the events that I watched, even the day two events, as you were panning through the backstretch, there weren't a lot of people in the stands at all. On the front stretch, where the finish line is for most of the events, yes, there were people in the stands there, but again, not well attended. Michael Johnson, I'm sure, putting a positive spin. He said, like, hey, the fans were enthusiastic, they were engaged, it was entertaining. The fans, did come. The fan number of fans grew throughout the event. So yeah, we'll see how Miami goes. I think it certainly will be. It'll feel better if it's more well attended. Um,
Well,
so I think they've got a little bit of a juggling act. Do we give away tickets? Do we the promoters got to find a way to get people into the stands.
I feel like starting in Kingston is tricky, right? Like, are there, and again, I should have looked into any of this, but like, were there a lot of Jamaican athletes there that are like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a home game. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's an away game. Of course, we're not all, and nobody knows what to expect because it's brand new. So it's like you're now expecting people to do a bigger travel to see their faves, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they did intentionally. Some of the challengers I saw were Jamaican athletes.
Okay.
Yeah, so and they weren't they were maybe when they showed their best time for that event, um, they some of them stood out as maybe not the best athlete in the category.
Okay.
Um, so Jamaica is certainly known for its sprinting. So I think there were some sprinters that were Jamaican. Um, but again, so I agree with you. There were some, but probably not enough to draw in a big crowd. And they weren't even people I recognized necessarily.
Right.
And again, I'm not like you, not I recognize probably the top couple people, not everyone. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it sounded like it was good, right? It sounded entertaining, sounded like anything that's new is going to be a hard start. So, I'm excited to see how it goes. And um, just before we move on, somehow I didn't realize there was not going to be any field events. I guess I should have known that, but that's weird. I don't feel like
yeah,
we have that ever.
yeah, I think what he's trying to do, yeah, I agree with you. I think they're trying to make it for TV, right? So that's why you don't have a 10,000.
Right.
It's 10,000 is just so long, and even the 10,000 is only really run on the track even though most of us average athletes run a ton of 10Ks on the roads, on track and field, on a track, 10K is not entertaining for most of the race, and it's a lot of dead time for the broadcast. So
Oh yeah.
I think for that reason they didn't have that, and I think he's trying to keep it much more concise. Um, yes, we'll see how it works out. I think there's they're trying to create sort of a golf like like the Live Tour in golf. It's more of a team and competition,
Mhm.
um, versus a track event, which maybe doesn't feel that same way. So by having four events, by having the races versus challengers, I think they're trying to set up this sort of camaraderie and sort of head to head competition week to week or month to month. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I like it. I like track and field. I'm hoping it's going to be successful. But the first event, I think it's a question mark as to whether it will grow, or at the end of this year they'll say, not it wasn't financially viable for 2025 or 2026. We'll see.
Yeah. Hopeful.
Yep, hopeful. All right, so that was the Grand Slam Jamaica results, and so we got another month or so, a little less than a month for the next one, which is Miami. Um, you have any other news items you want to go run through? Because I
Um,
a couple.
oh, well, I have one. Yeah, Brooks' new Disney running shoe will lace you up for theme park marathons or ride-filled adventures.
I saw that one.
Did you?
Yeah,
Well,
I thought the shoes were great.
I was about to say, if you hadn't seen them, I was going to show you. The shoes look good. I mean, Brooks always does a good looking shoe. So if anyone hasn't seen it, the link will be in the notes. I just thought it was funny because like sometimes I get a giggle out of like the Disney running whatever it is, it just is
Yeah,
it's such an odd, it's very specific, I feel like the Disney running community. And so yeah, it was just funny that Brooks is doing that. But yeah, the shoes look great. There's like a Mickey and a Minnie inspired design. Um and like we know you think running, you think Brooks, so that like totally makes sense. But I mean, I unfortunately did not get to do my Disney trip, which is why this felt very personal to me. But you have been to Disney in the past years recently. What do you think? What kind of shoe were you wearing, and would like to get a pair of Brooks next time you're romping around the park? What do you think?
I think we should do a Disney run. I've been to Disney, yeah, this past year with Matt and family, Matt
Yep.
Ivy and family. Um, and I love Disney. I think it's awesome. I've never done a run there. I've run around the park for training purposes, but I haven't done like a race there. And I think we should do one. I thought it was. I did think it was interesting that Brooks, yeah, like you said, put a line out just for that community.
Yeah.
Like, is it that from a marketing standpoint? I thought it was cool though. I did like the shoes. I thought the shoes looked cool. I mean, they talked about these hidden Mickeys on them, and it's like, okay, it's pretty obvious that Mickey's on the back of the heel there. It's not hidden.
Right.
But anyway, I thought they were neat.
Yeah, no, I think they look great, and I think sometimes we forget like running shoes are like sneakers, right? Like that is for people who are not going, if you're not doing a Disney run, like still totally makes sense to buy a pair of running shoes if you're going to be going to the park, especially if you're not like an avid walker normally. Like getting a pair of running shoes to make sure you're not having like all kinds of feet and ankle problems while you're putting in extra miles. I can only imagine how many steps you get if you go to Disney World each day. So yeah, I think it totally makes sense. And you can't forget that just people who need running shoes for not necessarily running purposes. So yeah,
Yeah, I see a lot of people wearing Hokas and other stuff that are clearly running shoes, but they're just comfortable shoes too. Again, sometimes they didn't used to look, I don't think, good. I think
yeah,
they look much better now. I think they look good. I think the colors are neat. I think maybe it's much more accepted. Maybe before it was so bland that these colorful shoes stood out so much that people didn't wear them for casual wear. But I
right.
think it's much more acceptable and much more common that people wear these
Oh, for
quote running
sure.
shoes. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you've bought my husband a pair of running shoes and he doesn't run, like he wanted the
yeah,
cool, was it the Nobles or whatever it was, right? Like everyone likes, and it makes sense. Like, why wouldn't you want a super comfy sneaker to be walking around in? Um, so yeah, I love them. I think it was a funny idea, and no, a Disney run would definitely be fun. How many? It was probably 10 years ago at this point. I'd actually signed up to do Disneyland half marathon, I believe. Was it?
Disneyland is that's California, right?
Yep,
Okay.
I had signed up for that. That was before you have to like, because now I think another reason why it would be hard to do is you have to like wait in a queue, and it like people have like six different desktops open to like get into each different race. Like it has become so crazy. Before it was just kind of like, I think I was like, oh, what's the date you're allowed to sign up? Signed up, whatever. Never ended up doing the race. It was supposed to be me and whatever boyfriend of the time
Yeah,
10 years ago. And I believe we broke up before that happened and I canceled the trip. So never got to run my Disney half marathon. Oh well. But yeah,
whose fault was the breakup, by the way?
oh, I'm sure I said it wasn't mine. I'm sure it was mine. You've met me. I'm tough to deal with.
You've matured a lot since those days, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe. um, but yeah, so I think now it is like it's a real tricky thing to get into. So, we might have to start now for planning for like 5 years from now to see if we ever get into. But they have so many more races now too. Like from what I remember before, there was like one in the spring, one in the fall when I was trying to do it. And now it seems like there's one all the time, and they have like the Dopey Challenge, which is like a weekend ultra, and they got a lot going on. So Disney running, not just for Disney adults.
Yeah, and Disney running. I mean, if we're going to do Disney, we got to do Disney World, not Disneyland.
Oh, obviously. I have no idea why. I think it was just like the timing or something. Yeah, why?
Maybe that's why you broke up because you signed up for Disneyland.
Yeah,
That's probably why.
I planned a really bad trip. That sounds like it's definitely a possibility.
Well, I got one of the stories here is a weird one, right? So we talked about Disney, but this is not Disney related. This is a man accidentally sets marathon national record while chasing his dog in Crocs and pajamas.
Yeah,
And
what
I
what
read
is
that
that?
story, and I read that story, and I'm like, this is a lie. This is not true. So so basically, what happens? He's out there in his shorts and pajamas, pajama bottoms. They're shorts, and his Crocs. He's walking his dog, and his dog sees a squirrel, and dog takes off. He doesn't have a good grasp on the leash. Coincidentally, there's a marathon going on in his town, and so the dog gets in, chases the squirrel, and now gets into the marathon group. He's now chasing the dog, passing people, and finishes the marathon, sets a national record. And I'm like, okay, I'm being trolled here. And
Right.
the last line of the story is, hey, this is April 1st, and you're probably onto us by now that this is an April Fool's story. Like, I just read this entire story saying it's BS the whole time, but wondering like, okay, what's the catch here? And that was the catch.
Right. We were talking about how horrible April Fool's Day is on one of our last
Yeah,
episodes.
it's a terrible. I don't. Is it a holiday? What would you call that thing?
Oh, I
Anyway,
guess.
yeah. So why a newspaper would put that out, I have no idea.
No. But I feel like a lot of, not even on April Fool's, people will write like Goose finishes first in marathon. And it's like, oh yeah, the goose entered the race halfway through or whatever and starts like, waddling. I'm like, it didn't run the 26.2 faster than people.
No,
Like,
he did not. He
he
did
just
not do it. No,
crossed.
that's a lie. Although there have been animals that have won mayors, like where a dog wins the mayor, voting
Why?
because everyone hates the people who are running, so they all vote for a dog.
That is nuts.
Yeah, that's
Um,
nice.
yeah.
Well, the last one I have is movies. So these are the 10 most watched movies for every passionate runner. We've been talking offline about running movies. This is
Yeah.
the official list.
Okay.
There's such a thing as an official list of movies related about running. I thought we'd just run down each of the 10 to see if we've seen them all, what we thought of them. I haven't seen them all. There are ones here I've never heard of, and I think they sound good. So number one was McFarlane USA, and just the first line of that one is it's a 2015 sports drama, which brings to life the true life story of a small town high school cross country team in McFarlane, California, and it starts with the 7 Mexican American students who balance school and farm life. That one I've seen. I don't know if I've seen it straight through, but it looked like a good movie.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I think it's like on every list I have of movies to watch, but have not
Yeah.
seen it.
So that's right. It sounds like that, and that was number one. Number two, Breaking Two. I think they
Yeah,
referenced this a couple times. I don't
always.
know that I saw this one because I saw the one where the documentary where he broke two. Breaking Two, the highlights are it's National Geographic's 2017 documentary following three elite runners attempting to complete a marathon in under 2 hours. And the official answer at the end, and I don't know if I want to, okay, I won't give a spoiler as to what happens at the end, okay, on this one.
Yeah, no, I love that movie. That's a good one.
All right. Number three, Spirit of the Marathon. And that one's a 2007 documentary. which tracks 6 runners from different backgrounds as they train for the Chicago Marathon. I haven't seen that one.
I feel like I've heard of that one,
Okay.
but I haven't seen it.
Chariots of Fire. This is, let me scroll down. This is a 1981 historical drama following 2 British runners preparing for the 1924 Olympics. Abrahams, who faces anti Semitism, and Eric Liddell, who's a Christian missionary driven by religious faith. That one is, I think it won the Oscar. Um, it for most people, it's going to be too old to be great.
Yeah.
Plus, it's 1981, about 1924. So for those reasons, not a lot of people are going to love it, but aren't going to watch it. But it is a great dramatic movie.
I remember we watched it. I want to say I was probably like, I feel like I was like 6 when you had us watch this movie. I could have been 10. I don't know. But like, I remember you're like, this is the best running movie in the world. And for some reason, always in my head, I get it mashed up with Ben-Hur because I feel like along the same time you were like obsessed with
Yes,
that movie as well. And so I remember nothing about this movie.
yeah. And but for the record, it won 4 Academy Awards,
Wow.
including Best Picture.
There you go.
All right. Number 5, Brittany Runs a Marathon. That one we know quite well because we did a movie
Famously.
review on that one on the old podcast.
Yes.
I was a big fan of Brittany Runs a Marathon. I thought it was a great move. I mean, great, strong term.
Whoa.
By the way, for anyone listening, it's a 2019 comedy drama film which follows Brittany, a woman who decides to change her life by running the New York City Marathon. I thought it was great. Predictable, maybe, but I thought it was good. I thought there was some uncomfortable moments in there in the movie. You did not like it, if I recall.
Correct. But I had seen it before, and I remember the first time I watched it, and I think I probably said this on the other podcast. I'd seen it, and I remember watching it and being like, I want to sign up for a race. I was feeling so inspired. I think I probably even entered the New York City Marathon lottery that year. And then I was like, oh, I wanted to watch it at home. I told my husband we should watch this running movie. He was like, yeah, sure. And because he didn't like the Britney character, he made the entire movie insufferable. And then I hate the movie now. So
Okay. All right. Understand. Number 6, Prefontaine. It's a 1997 biographical film, chronicles the remarkable story of American distance runner Steve Prefontaine. I won't go into any further, but I won't be any spoilers on that one either. But that one's also, he's referenced in many running movies historically. It's known as a good movie. Um, the closing line is, despite critical reviews, which tells me it wasn't highly rated, the film maintains a dedicated following among track and field fans.
hmm,
Okay. Number 7 on the list, the Barkley Marathons. That one I've seen, that documentary. And again, the highlight for that one is 2014 documentary follows competitors attempting the notorious Barkley Marathon, a punishing 100 plus mile race through Tennessee's rugged terrain. We talked about that in the last couple of podcasts, so
yeah,
I won't say any more. But that one is also interesting. I don't know that I love the movie.
agreed.
Mm,
Yeah, I feel like it makes you interested in knowing more about the race, but yeah, I mean, it's a movie, documentary
yeah,
style.
documentary is not like you sit down and like, oh, this is the best movie I've ever seen.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
Number 8, Race. I've never seen this one, never heard of it. It's a 2016 biopic, tells the story of track star Jesse Owens as he makes his mark on history in the 1936 Berlin Olympics. So I'm going to watch this one
Yeah,
because this one sounds interesting to me. But again, a 2016 movie, which is not that old, about the 1936 Berlin Olympics and Jesse Owens, probably not pulling a lot of people in that are under 60 years of age.
right. I'll watch it, maybe.
Without Limits. This one is the 1998 biographical film, portrays the intense relationship between running legend Steve Prefontaine, we just mentioned him, and his mentor Bill Bowerman at the University of Oregon, which I think is also tied in with Nike.
Yes, but Bowerman's like, as far as I know, not one of the disgraced Nike
Yeah,
balls, so it is still holds up. I could be totally wrong though.
this one is Donald Sutherland is also in this movie. He's one of the stars in this movie. So again, if you're not 60 years old, you don't know who that is.
I was like, you said that like I know who that is. Great.
I think he has kids who are acting now that you might know.
Is it Jack Bauer? Is his son?
Kiefer Sutherland, yeah. So that's it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know if that's Jack Bauer or not, but
I
that
think
is a
so.
Sutherland. And finally, Desert Runners. This is a 2013 documentary. Desert Runners follows amateur athletes and their attempt to complete 4 desert races, um, running ultra marathons across the world's most challenging terrain. I haven't heard of this one.
Mm-mm.
Why is it that all running movies are documentaries? Like, can we not make a good running movie that's just a legit movie besides Chariots of Fire?
Correct. Well, and this is the problem we had when we ran in when we were doing the episode on our old podcast about movies was it doesn't yeah, there wasn't a lot. Like besides Brittany Runs a Marathon, which was like current. Well, because running's not interesting. you know, I
Which is
said it.
why,
I mean, it's this, yeah, it's the same problem with like actually watching track and field, right? Like, it's hard because there's not a lot of like glitz, glam, excitement. A lot of running is like that really internal, right? It's that internal pain. You can't see it. It's that internal, like the mental toughness. Again, can't see, can be really hard to like come across in film that yeah, unless you're doing like a Brittany Runs a Marathon thing where it's like also about, body transforming and kind of overhauling your life and has like other undertones of like, her just getting her life together in comparison to also being able to run a marathon. Yeah, it's hard to, I guess it is like hard to portray that there's like a lot happening in a running movie.
yeah, yeah. I was wondering about this when you started that your comments was like, what is it about track and field that doesn't translate to people? Like, why is baseball, so popular and it's got these TV contracts and it's on every week? Football, hockey, soccer's even, popular to some degree, right? Is it the geographic aspect of those that you can have a local team that people are rooting for and they're playing other geographic areas where track and field doesn't have that? I don't know what it is that I love track and field. I love the competition. It's so different though than baseball. I mean, baseball, a bunch of people get go out and hit a ball. I mean, I find it somewhat boring to watch. Right? Typically there's not a lot of action. It's one person against one person. Right? It's the pitcher against the batter. And unless the ball gets hit, then someone else has to get involved. But for the most part, if you're playing even on a team, you're bored.
Yeah, I think it's hard to appreciate the talent and skill that goes into running, right? Because you're like, okay, I can run, you can run, my kids can run, my grandparents can run. It's just like, okay, they're just like faster than me. But like anyone who's ever grew up in America, you've hit a baseball, whether it was in gym class or at home or whatever, and you know that it can be really hard to like hit a baseball. Um, so I think maybe there's like part of like a skill element that people are missing on like okay, they're just really good at this one thing. They can be really fast, right? They're not doing anything
Yeah,
fancier than that. And yeah, I don't know. But I think also, like you said, there's like a cultural element of it as well of like, we rally behind our local team. You can reminisce on I was on the little league team. I played baseball in high school. You hear people all the time talking about like, well, when I was the running back for whatever team, like I could have done this move.
we won the national championship.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Like, oh, Saquon Barkley jumps over someone backwards. I probably could have done that when I was 15 too, like whatever. So I think also there's not a lot of running isn't like people's nostalgic thing to look back on for a lot of people because it wasn't like, and I ran into this when I was doing, the kids running coaching. Like there was very specific families who were runners who were like, yes, I think my kid would love to be a part of like some kind of little running club for kids, right? But most people were like, well, we want to be on the baseball team. We want to have the tournaments the week, all my kids' friends are on the baseball teams. Like we want them to be a part of their friend group thing. So I think also there is just like people
Yeah,
don't
it's a
get
team.
running and they're not excited about running because they don't remember being runners,
Yeah, I
maybe.
mean, yeah, and you're right. In those other sports, they're all team sports. So there is a lot of camaraderie within the team. There's a lot of, in high school, you were on the baseball team, the soccer team, and again, you were with a bunch of people. I mean, track is a team, obviously. There's other people that are on the team with you. And I had lifelong friends that were on my high school track team. Now, but in high school, I don't know, were we the misfits? And I don't recognize that we were the misfits. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of people also like half of the teams of running is, oh, we're here to be in shape for soccer in the spring, right? Like a lot of kids would
Yeah.
join the cross country team so that they had better endurance for their winter or spring sport. So I think it also was just like always used as a tool, and like running kind of still is people's tool for being fit, staying active, whatever it is. So yeah, I think it's a tricky one that makes sense why it doesn't translate into the most entertaining
Yeah,
thing.
so and this is this brings us back to the first story, right? Which is Michael Johnson. What he's trying to accomplish, Michael Johnson being the promoter, creator of Grand
Yeah.
Slam track, is trying to create that like, okay, there's now a series, and Diamond League has a series now. Here, there's more money involved, so they're traveling around the U.S. and obviously internationally with Jamaica. So they're trying to create that sort of a little bit of that aspect of it. You can't create necessarily. You're not going to have teams in every major city, so they can't have it that way. But that's what they're trying to create, is trying to bridge that gap between making track more popular. And yeah, they've got to cut some events out because yeah, no one wants to watch some of these events. No one goes to watch the shot put or the javelin because they don't know these guys. And there are some great athletes that do it, but it just doesn't translate great to a TV venue or even to a watching it in the stands. So that's what he's trying to accomplish, and I feel like it's a really big hill he's trying to get up.
Yeah. No, I know. And I feel like I could talk forever about like the ways different sports are able to be more relatable even to like having a bigger meaning as a metaphor. All these things of like picking yourself up from, falling down,
Yeah,
whatever it is. But yeah, no, and I'm excited to see, going again back to full circle, I'm excited to see how Grand Slam track plays out for the rest of the year because um I do like what he's doing, and I do think it makes it a little more digestible just to anybody else who's not like a normal track follower. So I hope enough people get to see it and it stays exciting.
yeah. And the other thing that the sports have done that is does work great is the fact that they're about a 2 to 3 hour experience, where track is now a 2.5 day commitment. It
Right.
starts on Friday afternoon, goes through Sunday. So that doesn't translate to TV very well. So I mean, they do have contracts with any Peacock and some other stuff, the CW. But again, it's going to be on some TV. But most people aren't going to commit that kind of time. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, if you don't want to support track and field, at least support our podcast. Subscribe and share with a friend. Hopefully, I'll have some kind of like landing page, website, something so it's a little easier to find all of the episodes and maybe links and whatever else. But until then, just Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, we are there. So catch you not next week. Probably we're on spring break. Woo! Yeah, party, all that. But we will catch you in 2 weeks.